Hey everyone, this is J-Dog, and I'm here with another video. Shout out to African Diaspora News Channel, that's Phil Scott's. He renamed his Avise Show Media to this. He was pointing out, he tweeted this article, and I will go to the article, but first I want to read what he said in this tweet. The old guard is concerned that majority of young people that seek news don't go to the mainstream media, or should I say the lamestream media. That's what it should have said. Here comes the next wave of attacks against independent content creators. He's talking about how the young, mostly, just young people, the millennials and the next upcoming generation, which is the Gen Zs or Generation Z and future generations, not all of them are going to go get their news from ABC, Fox News, NBC, CBS, and etc. These are representations of the old media, the corrupt corporate media. They're influenced by donors and corrupt corporations and even corrupt politicians and stuff. The young people are now going to more new ways, new alternatives for media, such as mostly social media. They're going to YouTube, they're going to Facebook, they're going to Instagram, they're going to Twitter. They're going to a lot of independently owned outlets that are not backed by corporate media. There's even this article from Adweek that he actually tweeted, and now we're going to go to the actual article. It says here, 50% of U.S. teens are getting their news from YouTube, but not from news organizations. And it could be any YouTuber that these people are going to. They could be even watching my video right now. They probably getting this from me. And I'm not a news anchor. I'm just a guy, just a random normal guy who just happens to make videos on YouTube. I don't have like this big journalist degree and stuff. Yet I am speaking more truth, and people believe, and people are coming to me, coming to my videos more than they're coming to these news organizations, because these news organizations also have a history of, propaganda. Some of these corporations, they only do news to influence, they cater to certain political parties, like NBC caters to the Democrats, Fox News caters to the Republicans. And the young people especially, they want independent media. They want freely independent, which means everyone is fair and is not influenced by some kind of politician or corporation or whatsoever. They just want real journalism. And of course, you have the lamestream media. They don't like this. They do not like the fact that YouTube, that's why they get attacks when they attack YouTube. YouTube is forced to do this ad apocalypse. They even, these corporate medias, they are some of the biggest guilt reasons why there's this ad apocalypse and why YouTube is forcing all these community guidelines, because YouTube is being harassed by corporate media, and instead of standing up to them, they are compromising themselves, which is actually going to hurt YouTube if they do not stand up to these corporate medias, because this is where people are getting the news. People are going to independent outlets, and that's why the lamestream media attacks them, or attacks certain individuals that speak the truth, regardless of who they are. So, Common Sense and SurveyMonkey found that celebrities, influencers, and personalities were their source more often. And like I said before, they're saying that this is just focusing on just the U.S. teenager. Teens are getting the majority of their news online. Shouldn't come as a surprise, as the days of reading a physical newspaper or settling in front of a television for the evening news have long passed. Rightfully so. They're going to apps. They're going to websites. They're going to streaming sites. They ain't going to just the television. You can watch your favorite shows anywhere on your phone, on your computer, or whatsoever. Yeah, like they said, the days of just glued to the TV is over. What does come as a surprise, however, is the online sources teens are turning for their news. Common Sense, a non-profit organization dedicated to improving the lives of kids and families, teamed up with SurveyMonkey on a poll of 1,005 U.S. teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17. This is the Gen Zs, most likely. I believe most of them are most likely either the next generation after the millennials, which is either the Generation Z or Gen Z for short, or another generation that's now just starting to come up. Conducted from June 14th through the 25th, they found that 54 of the respondents get news at least a few times per week from social networking platforms including Facebook, hear this, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, while one half do so from YouTube. See, this is why corporate media will attack social media, and then some of these social medias are forced to compromise themselves to keep from being attacked instead of standing up to them. They're trying to, and that's why some of these corporate medias will even have their own YouTube channels. CNN has its own YouTube channel. So does MSNBC and all of them. They have their own YouTube channels. They have their own Facebook accounts. They have their own Twitters. Why? Because they know that majority of the young, the millennials, the youngest of the Gen Zs, the millennials, and the Gens and the Generation Z. Let's just say that when they mean youth, the oldest is of the youth is usually the young Generation Zs. The youngest of the generation, the youngest of the Generation X, the millennials, and the new generation, which is Generation Z, and maybe future generations. That's when they consider the young. Or they'll just stick with just millennials and Gen Zs. Because there are some Generation Xers, or Gen Xers, that don't follow corporate media either. They go to YouTube just like the millennials and Generation Z or Gen Zs. They just only focus on the American teenager in this article. Now back to the article. Of those who cited YouTube, 6 out of 10 said they were more likely to get their news from celebrities, influencers, and personalities than from news organizations. That could be a celebrity that has a YouTuber, and when they mean by influence and personalities, they mean people with big popular YouTube channels, or it could be me. What if I was an influencer? What if people come to my channel, I have subscribers, they'll come to me because they trust me and stuff. Or it could be someone like Tariq Nasheed. They don't have to be celebrities. They just have to be basically people listen to them. They don't have to be celebrities. Just people people listen to. People like Tariq Nasheed. People like Phil Scott. People like Harvey Superboy. People like Lisa Cabrera. Myself. Town Biz. the LVZ. Terrain Rain. We could be considered influencers because people will come to us. People will go to Cynthia G, or Paris Milan, or Nyla Says. Why? Because they are influencers. People get knowledge from them, or they think they get knowledge from them, or personalities, just people who just use YouTube. And these young teens will rather go to these channels or other people's channels. They'll go to Young Turks. They'll go to Tim Black. They'll go to Specular Talk, or whether they go to a liberal YouTube channel or a conservative YouTube channel, they will go to them rather than go to these big corporate news organizations like ABC, CBS, Fox News, NBC, and etc. That these young teens don't trust the corporate media. Now back to the article. Common Sense said in a release detailing its findings, teens' new habits reflect the diversity of modern media landscape and while most news organizations maintain accounts on social media and other platforms, they are competing for attention with corporate brands, celebrity influencers, and personal connections. So even if these corporate medias, like I mentioned earlier, have their own social media accounts, that doesn't mean young teens or anybody is still going to them. So that's what the news organizations don't like. They don't like that people have found alternatives other than just news organizations. Among teens who actually turn to news organizations for their news, 65 said it helps them better understand what is going on, while just 53% of those who get news from social media express the same sentiments, and 19% say getting news via social networks makes them more confused about current events. With 2020 presidential elections looming, Common Sense and SurveyMonkey look at respondents 16 and older who will be eligible to vote, finding that 85 are likely to do so and 61% very likely. So them gathering information from social media has even affected whether or not they're going to vote for next year's presidential election or if they're not going to vote. Other findings by Common Sense and SurveyMonkey includes 70% of respondents say the following current events was important to them. Just 41% gets news from news organizations, print or online, at least a few times per week, and only 37 do from TV. Amongst respondents who turn to YouTube from news, one half said they most often find news because it is recommended by Google-owned video sites, such as via WatchNext videos or on its sidebar. 27% of teens get their news via YouTube. Subscribe to Pacific channels for news, while just 10% find news online video sites via search, and only 7% find it because it was shared by someone they know in real life. 71% of teenagers who consume news daily via YouTube get their news from celebrities, influencers, and personalities, compared to just 28. Now this is the big one. This is the one about the teenagers, with just 28 from news organizations. And this pisses off your CNNs, your NBCs, your ABCs, and your Fox Newses. This is what's pissing them off. 71% of news is going to teens through YouTube, then from celebrities and influencers and personalities, and only 28% is from these news corporations. That's a problem to news corporations, and expect this to be higher for YouTube and lower from news organizations. Why YouTube? 64 of respondents say seeing pictures and videos showing what happened helps them to understand major news events, while 36% say they prefer to read or hear the facts about what happened. 45% of teens say they get news from sources with different political views than their own at least once per week, while 14% never do so. 35% of respondents discuss political issues with people who have different views at least once per week, while 19% never do so. Common Sense CEO James Staver said in the release that these findings raise concern about what kinds of news the next generation is using to shape their decision. Or maybe the CEO of Common Sense is probably a shield, is probably wondering why teenagers are not going to news organizations. Now, I'm not sure if Common Sense and SurveyMonkey is basically supporting news corporations, because that line right there, that indicates that they may be working with some of these news organizations, and they're not happy with the fact that young teens are not going to news organizations that they would rather for them to go to instead of YouTube. There are, and I would not be surprised if that's the case, there were few standards for what some considered news and how accurately it portrays on platforms teams use with the 2020 election coming up. See, these news organizations that support a certain candidate, they are concerned about this because what these teens watch could affect who their favorite candidate is going, could affect the polling of their favorite, of the news organization's favorite candidates, whether it be Trump, or should I say Chump, or any of the Democrat candidates running to beat him. Coming up, we need to make sure teens are getting their news from reliable sources, thinking critically and making informed decisions. But what if but here's the thing, what if it's the news organizations that are the liars and the YouTubers are the ones that tell the truth? See, they have to also consider that. What if the news organizations, the old media, are the liars and the YouTubers are the truth tellers? See, that's what's probably not being said. But then again, that might indicate that that Common Sense and SurveyMonkey might be shields for the corporate media. SurveyMonkey Chief Research Officer John Coney added, while it's notable that teens rely heavily on platforms such as Facebook and YouTube to stay informed, the relevance on news from celebrities and influencers rather than journalists may have implications. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Implications. It's a bit of paradox. Overwhelmingly, teens say that they are interested in keeping up with the news, but they are not seeking out either traditional or news media to do so. That's because half these corporations lie. Half these news organizations are propagandists that they're only spreading propaganda and lies to, for their agenda of their corporate donors or the politicians that follow them or who they're trying to help. That's why some young teens are not going to ABC or CNN or definitely not Fox News or whatsoever. Because they want new alternatives, and YouTube and social media in general are among the alternatives. And that's why some of these corporate medias are making these Twitter and Facebook channels. They have their own Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram or YouTube accounts to see if they can go snatch some of the youth that are on YouTube and stuff like that. And if that don't work, they'll just attack the websites and then force the websites to make policies that hurt content creators that are independent and not under the will of corporate media. I also suggest that people try out other websites like Black Junction, Black Shares TV, and such. People in my community are going to them hopefully soon. But yeah, as far as this article, yeah, the young are not following The young are not going to corporate media. I mean, corporate media still has a high number of viewers. Maybe not, it's not higher though. It's not as high as they want. And it's a lot of it is because the young is going to YouTube. The young is going to YouTube. The young is going to online, independently owned website, news outlets and websites. They're not going to corporate media. And expect this to increase. Expect more of the young. Expect more children. Expect more of the young. And maybe even some of the old will eventually start going to these channels on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter or on these online, independently owned news outlets and watch as slowly, and I mean slowly, the corporate media is starting to lose its viewership and lose its audience. And that's why some of these corporate medias are doing all these kind of mergers and stuff like that as well. Like the Disney 21st Century Fox. And remember, Disney owns ABC, which is a news outlet. Notice how Comcast owns NBC and Universal Pictures. See, they're doing some of these mergers, and they're even now trying to create their own streaming sites, streaming companies, or their own content creator companies to challenge YouTube and stuff like that, or challenge Netflix or stuff like that, or challenge Facebook, because they can't stand social media taking away the audience of corporate media. I know this video is long, but this needs to be talked about. But that's all I have to say for now. I want to know what y'all think in the comment section. I will leave the link to Phil's tweet and this article in both the description box. I'll leave the two links in both the description box and comment section. Speaking of the comment section, make sure, depending on where you're watching this, YouTube, Black Junction, Black Shares TV, etc., write down in the comment section what you think about this. I mean, this is a game changer right here. Make sure you share this video, share this article. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit that notification if there is a notification bell, depending on where you're watching it, so you'll know when I'll do another video. Also, check every once in a while to see if you're not getting notifications. Still come to my channel every once in a while to see whether or not I posted up a new article. That's what I'm starting to tell people now. Just tell me if you are making if I made a video or not. And also I'll leave the links to all my different accounts where I do post videos and stuff in the description box and comment section as well, so you can subscribe to me and follow me there. But that's all I have to say for now. This is a game changer. What you think? The young is just not down with news organization and corporate media, and they're going to alternative sources. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. This is J-Dog, and I hope to catch y'all in another video. Peace, everyone.